Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action. Brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Pace car is up.
Now here are your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meier.
Green flag, green flag.
Well, a couple of things to clear up. Motorsports Monday is on a Tuesday this week because of the rain delay at Pocono Raceway. The Exalta We Paint Winners 400 won by Kurt Busch. We'll be talking about that today. And another note, Joey Meier is not in studio today. However, he will be joining us a little bit later on. Johnny Sauter will be along as well for us to talk about the Rattlesnake race coming up at Texas Motor Speedway. The Camping World Truck Series returns. He has 2 wins at that track and some news about GMS racing along the way to tell us as well. But as we mentioned, Motorsports Monday, even when it's on a Tuesday, is presented by Outback Steakhouse. And don't forget to race into Outback Steakhouse today. Yes, today, even though it's Tuesday, for a free Bloomin' Onion because Kevin Harvic did, in spite of my mistake, finish in the top 10. Outback Steakhouse done right. Outback is extending it on a Tuesday because the race happened on a Monday, so you can go in, don't worry, and take care of all your business. Also, check out their new app. You can order from it. You can pay your bill from it. You can split the check from it. You can reserve your seat from it. It's really cool to check out. Available on Google and Android as well. You can check all that out and get everything you want at Outback. And don't forget now, all their sirloin, center cut sirloin as well. So they've got a lot going on at Outback, our sponsor here on Motorsports Monday, even when it's on a Tuesday. A lot to get through today. A lot happened at Pocono. The rain delay, some penalties to talk about, some post-race discussions to talk about that happened along the way. We'll ask Joey when he comes on a little bit later on about Brad Keselowski's comments with Jeff Gordon. They kind of got into a little Twitter tussle along the way after the race at Pocono. All that is coming up as well. You can play along with us on Twitter at MRN Radio. Mine is at WY Cain. Joey's is at 2Spotter. Just use that hashtag AskMRN so we can find your questions along the way. Also, anytime, 24/7, you can check out our fan forum hotline. It's 844-4-ASK-MRN. Leave your message there, and we'll try and get to your question if you have one for a driver about any of the shows. Anything you'd like to talk about in the world of NASCAR, motorsports, we'll talk about it there on our fan forum hotline. We've got a big show for you, even though it's on a Tuesday. Stick with us, folks. Get your questions ready. We'll play along. Johnny Sauter will be along, as will Joey Meier. It's all coming up on Motorsports Monday on a Tuesday.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Race on over to mrn.creekstonefarms.com now through June 8th and enter our Sizzlin' Steak Sweepstakes, where you can win a gift certificate good for $500 in Creekstone Farms premium Black Angus beef and all-natural Duroc pork. No purchase necessary, open to legal residents of the 50 United States and District of Columbia who are 21 or older at time of entry. If you want America's best Black Angus beef ribeyes, fillets, all-natural pork tenderloins, baby back ribs, and more, you've got the green light. Go to mrn.creekstonefarms.com and enter today.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvic top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvic top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvic, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free Bloomin' Onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy Bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. 1 per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
Hey, this is Joey Logano. You're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meier and Woody Cain. How does Joey have a co-host? They talk so much.
White flag is out. 2.5 more miles. Can Kurt Busch make it?
One more time for the Stewart-Haas racing team. The fuel pressure gauge likely dancing the lambada right now. Kurt Busch has all the real estate he needs. Does he have enough fuel? He is off turn 1 to the long pond straight for the final time.
Here they come now. The lap car of Danica Patrick directly ahead of Kurt Busch. The car is up to speed as a couple of other cars will pull down to the inside, deeper in the field. Kurt Busch leading them off turn 2 for the final time. time here at Pocono.
So far, so good for Kurt Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who continues to hold off Brad Keselowski into turn 3 for the final time. It is Kurt Busch at the front of the field, 15 car lengths in hand over Dale Earnhardt Jr.
He could pretty much coast it home from here. Enough fuel on a Monday afternoon, and for the 28th time in his career, Kurt Busch crosses the line, and he will win at the Pocono Raceway.
There you go. That's the way it sounded on Motor Racing Network on a Monday at Pocono when Kurt Busch went to victory lane. You heard Dave Moody, Mike Bagley, Kyle Rickey, and Jeff Striegel there finishing up the call. First win of the season for Kurt. He is the 9th different winner we've had this season, and that all but punches his ticket into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. I'm Woody Cain. Joey Meier, my normal co-host, will be along a little bit later on. Motorsports Monday on a Tuesday here. You know, this race came down to a fuel mileage situation. That was the deal where a lot of guys were going to try and have to stretch it 40 laps at the end to finish that race. They had some caution help along the way that got them there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a little bit disappointed that he wasn't able to hold off Kurt on that restart, but that's the way it came down, and Kurt Busch goes to victory lane. Here's what he had to say afterwards.
They told you on the radio that they didn't think you had enough Sunoco fuel in the tank. What was going through your mind, and how did you have to amend your driving from there?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, how many laps shy are we? They said 2, and these are really long straightaways at Pocono, and you have to manage saving fuel as well as maintaining lap time. And so many thoughts can go through your head, but I just stuck with the checklist. I just stuck with saving fuel and watching the 88 behind us. But it's awesome to be able to have the team week in and week out to be competitive and then to put it all together today.
You're certainly a Cup Series champion. You've won in the Sprint Cup Series, so now 28 times. But the smile on your face that I'm seeing right now and the voice cracking, what does this mean to you?
Well, it's special anytime you win, and for Tony Gibson to be out this week because of a lug nut issue, we had to overcome a lot. And Johnny Meier, our interim crew chief, our lead engineer, he stepped up. And when you do that, it makes you really feel about that team camaraderie, that team chemistry, and that team effort.
There you go, Kurt Busch in victory lane with our Alex Hayden as he wins the Axalta We Paint Winners 400 at Pocono Raceway on a Monday, and all but punches his ticket into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And he was one of 3 guys who didn't have their normal crew chiefs for that race. You heard him mention there Tony Gibson had gotten a 1-race suspension for violating that lug nut rule earlier at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So they had Johnny Meier, the team engineer, helping out and making that happen. His win on top the pit box, filling in for Tony Gibson, and all that they had to go through with practice being rained out, a green racetrack, a new tire, the first time they'd been to Pocono with that new low downforce setup. Also at the race as well, you had A.J. Allmendinger without his crew chief. Randall Burnett was not there. Ernie Cope was filling in for him. They had a suspension for a similar lug nut issue. And Robbie Reiser, there's a name you might remember, Roush Fenway Racing, who was filling in atop the pit box for Brian Patty with Greg Biffle. They had a body violation at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so he will be in for this race and the next race coming up at Michigan. We'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. A lot to get to on the program today. Let's take a look at how the points shake out now, because this is interesting now as we're getting to the halfway point. We're at the halfway point. You see Kevin Harvick atop the standings. This is by points. Kurt Busch 25 back, Brad Keselowski 48 back, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon, Jamie McMurray, Ryan Blaney, the rookie, hanging in there as well, and Ryan Newman in that top 16. How about Chase Elliott leading the most laps at Pocono? He had a really good day as well. That rookie is driving very, very well. He is 7th in the overall standings, but the guys who have wins right now, Kyle Busch would lead the seedings because he has 3 victories on the season. Brad Keselowski has a couple. Carl Edwards has a couple. Jimmy Johnson has a couple. Now you've got Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Matt Kenseth, and Denny Hamlin, all with wins so far this season. There you see it right now. 9 guys have all but punched their tickets, provided we don't get something crazy like 17 or 18 different winners before we get through Richmond to wrap up the regular season, if you will, in the Sprint Cup Series standings and decide who's going to be in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Now, we mentioned Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a really good day as well. He comes home second. Remember, it wasn't that long ago that he swept at Pocono. Here's what he had to say after the race.
Yeah, it's a good run for us. So I should have been able to hold that 41 off on that final restart. Being a 24 race pretty hard, and it gave the 41 opportunity to get a run on us. And I just I should have been able to defend that a little bit better. So if I could have got in front of him, I don't think he'd have got by us. And the car wasn't all we hoped it would be, but it was good. They worked on it, improved it. Real tight starting today, and we just kept freeing it up and got it pretty decent at the end, but still not where we want to be. We'll work on it and come back, try to do a little better job the next race here.
There you go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have been great for him had he been able to win that race with the Axalta sponsorship at the Axalta race at Pocono. That's one of the things that, you could hear the disappointment in his voice. Don't forget to download that free MRN app, by the way, folks. That's a way you can catch the races when you're not near your normal local radio station. You can also find your local station's feed on that as well. The MRN app, it's free at the iTunes Store and Google Play as well. Got to take a time out here on Motorsports Monday. On the other side, we'll talk some Texas truck racing with Johnny Sauter.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvic top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvic top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvic, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. One per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Hi, this is Ryan Newman. You're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meier and Woody Cain.
Through turn number 2, Johnny Sauter continues to pull away from Parker Kligerman to the backstretch for the final time.
Traffic will not be a factor for Johnny Sauter. He has got his truck on cruise control. Back in turn number 3 and 4. Again, most notably, always down to the bottom side of the racetrack tonight. Sauter works it off turn number 4 and heads to victory lane.
Checkered flag is in the air. The WinStar World Casino 350 belongs to Johnny Sauter, and he scores the Texas sweep in 2012.
There you go. That's the way it sounded in 2012 when Johnny Sauter won both races at Texas Motor Speedway. That's where we're headed back this weekend. You can hear it on Motor Racing Network Friday night, and Johnny Sauter joins us on the guest line now. Johnny, that had to bring back some fond memories, huh?
Yeah, I actually remember that race. If I'm not mistaken, it was one of the fastest races ever completed at Texas or even in the Truck Series altogether. I can't remember what the statistic was there, but I just remember that race had a lot of green flag running from start to finish, and the pit strategy that played out at the end. We took 4 tires, and Parker took 2, and I didn't think we could catch him because I remember we were like 3 or 4 seconds back, and then we ended up 4 tires prevailed, obviously on the long green there to the finish, and we were able to get him. So Texas has been a good racetrack for us, or for me, I guess, through the years, and not only wins, but we're really solid top 5, top 10 finishes. So it's definitely a place that I look forward to going to.
Give the folks an idea about how that track is changing, because a lot of guys go there talking about the bumps and how abrasive the surface has become, and a lot of guys like that challenge, and some of them say, gulp, oh no. How about you?
Well, it has changed a lot, but, obviously setups and everything else along the way adapt, trying to overcome what we lose for grip. So I think you see a lot of suspension stuff that we're doing in the trucks now with pigtails and pigtail front springs, riding on the pigtails. Have brought a lot of that grip back and have brought a lot of ride quality back, where you used to complain a lot about, the bump over the tunnel, especially in the middle of turn 1 and 2. And when you run the higher groove in 1 and 2, it can be pretty rough up there as well. So, a lot of the setup stuff, like I said, has complemented the roughness in the racetrack, but there's still no overcoming the asphalt aging and wearing out. So, I think we ran 3rd there last June, and that race that you just broadcast, I remember running that race pretty much wide open the whole night. And last year, I don't remember running very much of the race wide open. So in a 3 or 4 year span there, the racetrack, the asphalt has definitely gone away. So, there's a lot of different things that go into all that. But for the most part, grip is a premium pretty much anywhere we go, and handling is pretty important. So Having said that, Texas is definitely wearing out, and the guy that can stay in the throttle the longest all night is going to be the guy that comes out on top.
When you go to a track that's changing like that along the way, and yet you've had good success there, is it relearning, or is it like putting on your favorite pair of shoes again?
Well, I think for me, it's kind of like putting on your favorite pairs of shoes. So, you know, obviously that gives you a lot of confidence going into a race like that. And I think Texas is one of those places for us, being in the trucks, racing there twice a year. You know, it's still fresh in your mind. There's some of these places that you only go to once a year, and you kind of takes a few laps to kind of remember what you forgot over the last year. So, obviously I try to keep notes and all that stuff just for myself that I can go through. But, you know, having said that, Texas is a place we run twice, and you know, when you have success at a racetrack, I think you pay attention, you know, to all the sweet spots or things that you thought that worked for you that particular day or night for the race. So, and you know, there's a few things that I feel like, I've learned over the years racing at Texas, and you know, there's places I feel like I can run and places I probably shouldn't run, and I think that definitely helps, and that's just experience, you know, and knowing those things. So, there's sweet spots there for sure, but it's still just focusing on your chassis. And obviously, you know, I don't know the total schedule, but we used to practice a lot during the day, and then, you know, we race at night. So you got to kind of keep that in the back of your mind if the racetrack's going to change or what condition you think you're going to fight. So a lot of things to think about, and I promise you, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
That's exactly right. Now, since we last spoke with you, there's been a lot going on over at your GMS racing team. Ben Kennedy's joined the organization, and I saw a note from your team last week, and then on the entry list here that Joe Shear Jr. is going to be atop your pit box again. I know that's something else that had to put a big smile on your face. You guys have had a lot of success together.
Yeah, no, Joe has obviously been a family friend, and you know, our dads raced against each other when we were both growing up here in the Midwest. So, you know, me and Joe have obviously been very successful, and you know, I'm proud to have him and glad to be back with Joe. And I think it's just a positive for all of us at GMS. Obviously, Spencer with Hensley, Jeff Hensley, and Marcus going over to do Ben Kennedy's deal with those guys. So. I think as an organization, I think it's a positive. I think it, you know, keeps everybody, you know, putting all the best pieces in place for all the programs to be able to work together and to be successful. And that's ultimately what this is all about, is having three teams that are, you know, on any given week trying to compete for a win. So very pumped up about that. Very excited to get to the racetrack and, you know, try to pick up where we left off a few years ago.
I know you and I talked off, Mike, once before when you were making the decision to go over there, and you were excited about the opportunity to be with an up-and-coming team like this. And now when you mention the pieces being put into place like you were just talking about there, it has to make you feel like that decision is validated, that you guys are moving in the right direction and you're a part of building something, doesn't it?
For sure. I mean, there's no question in my mind. You know, when I first sat down and talked to Maury Gallagher and Spencer and just Mike Beam and everybody that was in place over there, and the plan that they had and where they wanted to take this organization, GMS Racing. And, you know, it was a long-term plan and just trying to make it a formidable organization that can go and try to win championships ultimately and along the way win races. So, yeah, I have no qualms about it. Very excited to be back in a Chevrolet and, you know, representing Chevrolet each and every week. And you know, who doesn't want ECR and everybody at the Childress's horsepower underneath their hood? So, that's one variable that we don't have to question week in and week out. It's been solid and we have good power and all that. So, you know, and ultimately when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's about chemistry and people and just trying to, you know, make sure you're hitting on all 8 cylinders doing that stuff. So, yeah, you know, there's no question in my mind we've done the right things and ultra excited going into this weekend and, you know, getting back with Joe and like I said, trying to pick up where we left off a few years ago. So, having said that, it's easier said than done, and you know, you're going to have to beat the 88 truck and a bunch of those kind of guys. But I feel really, really good about what we're doing and the trucks we're taking to the racetrack and what I've seen just out of the organization progressing, and feel really good about everything that's going on.
As we're talking, a lot of the pictures on the screen are of you and the Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff machine and the uniform there, and I saw you're going to have a huge contingent of those folks on hand at Texas, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's kind of a home game for some of those guys at Smoky Mountain, for Dave Savoca and everybody. So, yeah, it's cool. They're great people, great sponsor, and you know, you can have fun with those guys for sure. So I look forward to that, and I think that's a cool looking truck with the paint scheme and all that. So
yeah,
really look forward to debuting a new flavor, and I don't know, it's just a lot of things are really cool. I can't wait to get to Texas this weekend and go out and see what we got. So yeah, but it's great to represent Smoky Mountain and obviously Allegiant Travel and all of our sponsors at GMS. Everybody does a great job.
Johnny, you've already got the one win under your belt now, the chase coming into the Camping World Truck Series this year. I know you've always been a guy who just wants to get that next win, but does that change how you can approach things any way, because you do have that win and you're all but locked into the chase now, provided things don't go crazy and have 15 different winners or something like that? Do you try and get your ducks in a row more, or are you still just going out every week for a win? Does it change any strategy things for you?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I think the chase format is so new to the Truck Series that I don't really know how to accept it. Yeah, it's great to have that one win in the bank, so to speak, but I just don't think it's enough at this point. I still think you could see some things shake out and multiple guys win enough races. So, having said all that, it is cool to have a win under your belt and all that, but I feel like we still need to win at least a couple more before the chase comes to even really feel like we're down the stretch that we're going to be a contender for the championship. I think, just making the chase is one thing, but you're going to have to be competitive and be strong down the stretch to make it to the next round, and then ultimately go to Homestead, knowing that you probably have to win the race, if not run in the top 2 or 3 to win the championship. So, and I think to be able to do that, you're going to have to, really, really show some results over the next couple of weeks and down the stretch and be competitive week in and week out. So to grab that championship. So yeah, it's cool to have that win, but and think that you're in the chase, but we need to do more. Need to do more for sure.
All right, well, you've got some time to figure it out starting this weekend at a track where you've done very well. Johnny, we appreciate your time and look forward to catching up with you at Texas this weekend, man.
Sounds good. I appreciate you having me as always. We'll
there
see
you go.
Soon.
Johnny Sauter there, 2 wins at Texas. He swept back in 2012, has a real good record there, 6 starts, 3 top 10s, 3 top 5s, and a win this season along the way for Johnny Sauter. We'll have that race for you live here on Motor Racing Network. The Rattlesnake 400 comes your way live from Fort Worth, Texas at 8:30 Eastern Time on Friday, so check that out. Take another time out, and then where in the world is Joey Meier? We'll find out and ask him what's going on after this.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvic top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvic top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvic, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. 1 per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
I'm Tyler Reddick, and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with the infamous Joey Meier and Woody Cain.
Yeah, Brad KESELOWSKI down here talking to crew chief Paul Wolf, taking a look at the Miller Lite Ford. And Brad, awful strong there at the end in one of those fuel mileage races. Kind of describe the waning laps of that one and what the strategy was trying to reel in those 2 guys in front of you.
Yeah, we were awful strong. Just needed some more laps, a little bit more time. I think we might have had a shot at it. Pretty strong weekend for our team. The last 4 or 5 weeks we've had really strong runs, and seems like a bunch of seconds, thirds. Not quite the win we wanted, but a lot to be proud of today with Miller Lite Ford.
We talked about during the race coming back. You team, Joey had some problems. You had some problems that brought you back down to pit road again. The comeback of this race team, the strength of this race team, a lot of pride in that, I'm sure, the way you guys rallied back after some early adversity.
Yeah, absolutely. Not quite the finish we want, but a lot of good effort from our team.
A lot of good effort indeed. That's Brad KESELOWSKI down here, toweling off a little bit after a warm day at Pocono. And for Brad, turns out to be a 3rd place finish.
There you go, Steve Post yesterday at Pocono Raceway after the Exalta We Paint Winners 400, in which Brad Keselowski finished third. And that sound means we must have Joey Meier on the line somewhere. What in the world's going on with you, and why aren't you sitting here with me?
Well, a little bit of personal, taking care of some personal family business down in South Florida. That came up at the last minute. Had to jump on the old airline form of transportation, which everybody.
Wait! You flew commercial? What's up with that?
See, I just said that. Everybody that follows me on Twitter knows I'm a huge fan of the airlines. They give you such good customer service and always give you efficient ticket deals. And, man, the meals on them airlines is awesome.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, now that you're down there, did you have any trouble with the tropical storm or any of that?
Well, that's what happened. I was supposed to fly myself down here in a smaller airplane, but with the weather to the level of extreme with the tropical storm, I couldn't get down here, so I had to jump on an airline at the last minute, and that's actually what caused the biggest problem. But the weather down here now is simply fantastic. Unfortunate, but the timing of the storm moving through Florida was kind of a big deal, and luckily the airlines did do a good job and got us down here safely.
All right, well, tell us a little bit about Monday at Pocono Raceway. You guys wound up with a penalty on pit road for an unapproved body modification, which was a crewman banging into the side of the jackman, I think, banging into the side of the car. You had to come back down, fix that, and it led to you guys having to fight your way back from the back of the pack. Tell us about your day.
Well, I think it was an unparalleled version of Motorsports Monday that we talked about all weekend long with, 40 of our closest friends and drivers and colleagues that were calling the race. There on Pocono at noon. Brad had a good shot of the field starting from the pole. We started out, had a really strong car, and we did have the unfortunate incident on pit road that NASCAR has fully been very vocal about trying to get the race teams not to do any body modifications, whether it's banging into the fenders or pulling out on side skirts. And some of it still goes on, and we try to push the limits like most other race teams. And unfortunately, we did get our hand caught in the cookie jar per se. We served our penalty. But then the really cool thing was that our Team Penske and the number 2 car was strong enough that Brad was able to methodically, at a very difficult racetrack, work his way back up from essentially dead last and a half a lap down to get back into third with a really good chance to contend for a win. So those guys put a really good car together for him. And after the hand in the cookie jar incident, he executed everything flawlessly and was able to get back into third. It was a good points day, but overall we're just happy with the performance that the car has been showing, and we really look forward to the new rule package.
Newer.
The low version 2.0.
Even lower.
In Michigan. Yes, it. Low down.
Even lower.
Yep.
Well, I know back in the beginning of the season you were very open here on this program and with me personally about you guys didn't feel like you were exactly where you needed to be speed-wise with the Miller Lite Ford. Lately it seems like things have started to move in the right direction. Do you guys feel some momentum?
Definitely what happens as rule changes, some teams are hindered by it and some teams gain advantage and some teams kind of get fallen in the middle, and I think that's where we are. I think with the new rules packages and the downforce changes we've had in the last couple of weeks, we look forward to getting better simply because some of the teams did have a better grasp on the current rules package, say 2 weeks ago, than the new rule package that we saw at the All-Star race and Michigan moving forward. So we're excited in the direction that the team's going. We were able to put a decent package with Pocono, so we felt like we'd made some gains. Of course, there was a minor rule change for the Pocono race and for the Charlotte race that we grasped a hold of, or essentially some teams there maybe had an advantage that we didn't have, if you want to put it that way. So we felt good moving forward, and we're really excited now competing on a level playing field, whether it's self-induced or not. Our Team Penske guys are working their guts out with all the rule changes, and right now we feel really confident starting over from scratch with the new even lower version 2.0 downforce package.
I think that's right, and I know there's a little extra spring in Brad's step this weekend heading back to his home state of Michigan to try and get a victory there. What are you expecting from this even lower downforce package as we roll back in with it to Michigan? A lot of guys talking about having to lift out of the throttle a little bit during the test there with this package, even though they didn't get a whole lot of time on track with it before rains came.
The interesting thing about the new low 2.0 downforce package is the straightaway speeds are still even faster. But the difference in speed between the fastest and the slowest center speed is the gap the larger gap that we're looking to gain, and that's what we've gained now with this new package at Michigan. So I believe we're going to see a lot of slipping and sliding, but still see the high speeds that we like to see down the straightaway, and it's whoever can get their car stopped and pointed in the opposite direction the best. I think you're going to see a difference. I'm also anxious to see the package and to see how wide the racetrack gets because they repaved it several years ago, and with center speeds being so fast, essentially the quickest way around Michigan was at the bottom or, at the 10%, 20% mark. But I believe with the slower center speeds, you might be able to roll the center at a higher lane that we've seen in the past. So I'm really anxious to see if that comes true or not, which, Michigan was known, like California is now, as a very, very wide racetrack, and it was taken away for several years now after the repave. But I think we get some of that back with slower center speeds, and that always brings exciting racing.
All right, I want to change topics on you right now. We're playing Twitter trivia here. A NASCAR fan wants to know if Sprint Cup cars have ever run on rain tires and wonders if maybe that happened in Japan.
Yes, it did. When they had the 3 demonstration races over in Suzuka, Japan, a lot of guys ran over in the rain on rain tires. It just doesn't work. We've tried it. The cars are simply too heavy in the amount of horsepower we have. It's just not a good combination. The Xfinity guys have done it, and the trucks guys, and we get it. We never want to have a rain out, but a road course is an option this year now with NASCAR mandating in the last 2 years. We are prepared to run at Watkins Glen with rain tires. We have to have window defrosters. We have to have windshield wipers and taillights and things of that nature. But I'd rather not see it on any of the tracks, especially with a Sprint Cup car.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to do that on an oval, especially. That would have to be just out of this world, kind of crazy to get going there. As we look forward to Michigan coming up this weekend, by the way, you can hear the Firekeepers Casino 400 live on Motor Racing Network from Michigan International Speedway at noon Eastern time on Sunday. We'll have that one for you coming down the stretch here as we've passed the halfway point for the chase. And, Joey, I know you're fond of if the chase were to start today, that type of phrase, but now we've already got 9 winners under our belts right now as we look for that 16, and some guys, the jockeying points-wise for those final few spots is getting pretty intense here now.
Yeah, it becomes more and more important. I still don't believe we're going to have 7 new different winners. I could see Chase, Elliott getting a win, and the Kyle Larson and possibly Ryan Blaney. But other than that, I think we're going to stick with the winners that we've had. You expect Dale Jr. To get a win here pretty soon, but really trying to find 7 new guys to get a win before we end Richmond is going to be very difficult. So I think we're still going to have the 14 or 15 winners, and that's going to make that 15th and 16th place in position very, very important for points. So even though we don't like racing for points, those guys are definitely making every race count.
Kurt Busch punched his ticket on Monday with a substitute crew chief, Johnny Klausmeier, the engineer there. You also had Ernie Cope filling in on the 47 with A.J. Allmendinger, and you had Robbie Reiser back on top of the pit box for Greg Biffle. How much of a difference does something like that make, or are these teams so ready to go now that you can get by for a week or two without a whole lot of problem? I guess at least the 41 team can, right?
Absolutely. We saw, those teams step up. And with Johnny Klausmeier, and we've seen it in the past. A couple of crew chiefs for Jeff Gordon had some issues, and Jimmy Johnson have had issues in years past, and the step-in crew chiefs have done just a good job. These races are not won on Sunday. They give you the checkered flag and the trophy and the money, but they're actually won during the week back in the shop, and Tony Gibson was a very big part of that, as well as the other crew members that were at the track were a big part of that win. So you actually saw, I was able to text Tony Gibson and say, he wasn't there, but that win started back in the shop. And we see that more and more in preparation because it is a team sport. One guy doesn't call the race or make the race on Sunday. It happens during the week, and we saw that with the 41 team.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, speaking of Kurt Busch, he's going to be a guest on NASCAR Live tonight at 7 Eastern time with Mike Bagley talking about that big win, so folks will want to check that out as well. Quickly on the Xfinity side, we saw a rain-shortened race on Saturday at Pocono, and Kyle Larson goes to victory lane. He had pretty good speed anyway. He probably would have been in contention even had that not been shortened by rain.
Yeah, one of the exciting things about that Xfinity Series race at Pocono was the ability for the guys to move around a little bit and create lanes to pass. And, of course, whenever you have a very slick track, we see Kyle Larson tends to rise to the front. We saw a couple of pit strategies not pay off for, say, the likes of Kyle Busch and even possibly Joey Logano, who got caught under yellow on pit road, which looked to be an advantage. but wasn't able to capitalize on that opportunity because then the yellow come out while you're on pit road, and it kind of negated some of the advantage that he was looking for. But the different strategies are always a part of the race. Everybody has an opportunity to start the race on equal strategies, and then as the race moves forward, Kyle Larson deserves that win, and obviously he's contended for some wins in the past with some very exciting racing in the Xfinity Series. So be able to break that mold or break the ice per se at Pocono, I think we're going to see him in victory lane more times than not this year.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. All right, Joey, I hope everything goes well for you down in Florida. Look forward to catching up with you back at Michigan this coming weekend, and we'll reconnect and put our heads together and get another big Motorsports Monday underway a week from yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, how special is Track Talk Tuesday now? We got to come up with something nice.
Well, get the marketing department right on that.
Yeah, Track Talk Tuesday. I think it needs to just follow Motorsports Monday, because yesterday's Motorsports Monday was of epic proportions.
All right, cool, man. Look forward to chatting with you next week. Thanks for everybody for joining us, and check out the shows.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in again next Monday at noon Eastern for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center, or you can download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.